This is the most ferocious dinosaur that ever existed. You've probably heard of this dinosaur before, but what you're about to see will shock you. This dinosaur had a big head with horns, terrifying eyes, and giant teeth. Do you know which dinosaur it is? Some people might say it's the Brachiosaurus, which was a giant plant-eating dinosaur. But no, this dinosaur wasn't just huge, it was also extremely dangerous. It's not nice to be this big and scary at the same time. Maybe you're thinking it's the Stegosaurus, a large herbivore known for its plates and spikes. But again, this dinosaur wasn't just impressive in size, it was also deadly. Being so big and having these things didn't make it a good guy. Maybe close if you think it's the Ankylosaurus, because it was covered in armor and had a huge clubbed tail. However, this dinosaur wasn't just well protected. It was also aggressive. And although it looked like an armadillo, it wasn't a slow, harmless creature. So, which dinosaur could this be? Well, the answer is none of those. The truth is that this dinosaur was even more impressive than any of those I've mentioned. This dinosaur was called the T-Rex. The name T-Rex means king of the dinosaurs. And although this name isn't entirely accurate, since there were dinosaurs before and after the T-Rex, it was indeed one of the most impressive dinosaurs that ever lived. In fact, it was such a fascinating creature that it became the symbol of the entire dinosaur era. This dinosaur was huge. Some sources say it weighed up to 8 tons, while others say it was closer to 6 tons. But even the smallest T-Rex would have been larger than a double-decker bus and almost as long as 3 buses lined up. That's why some people believe that the T-Rex wasn't just a dinosaur, it was a real monster. But don't worry, we'll get to that later, because now I want to tell you something even more impressive. The T-Rex had a very strong bite force, even stronger than the Megalodon, the largest shark that ever lived. You can imagine how strong that must have been. If you try to open a bottle of water with your mouth, you need a little effort. But for this dinosaur, opening a bottle would have been child's play. With its powerful jaws, it could easily crack walnuts and even crush bones. If it wanted to eat a baby dinosaur or a large animal, it wouldn't have had any problem doing so. However, this dinosaur's jaws weren't just useful for eating. They were also perfect for defending itself against other predators. Even though the T-Rex was an apex predator, meaning it was at the top of the food chain, it sometimes had to defend itself. And against smaller opponents, it only needed a single bite to win the fight. Do you know how the T-Rex got its food? Well, mainly by hunting. This dinosaur wasn't picky about what it ate, but it preferred meat from young herbivorous dinosaurs. Its favorite victims were the Triceratops and the Edmontosaurus. These hunts must have been epic battles between two titans, but the T-Rex was faster and more agile than its prey. Imagine it chasing its victim through the forest, jumping over bushes and trees, and finally catching up to it and giving it a fatal bite. That would have been quite a sight to see. There's one detail that makes me even more afraid of the T-Rex, and that's its teeth. These teeth weren't like ours, small and fragile. No, they were enormous and incredibly sharp, like knives, and it had about 60 of them in each jaw. If it gave you a single bite, you'd be done for. But that wasn't enough for some people. So, let me tell you about its claws. They were long, curved, and perfect for slashing. If you felt one of its claws on your arm, it would feel like being scratched by a whip. And don't forget its tail. It was long and powerful. If the T-Rex attacked you, it would hit you with its tail so hard that you would unknow what happened until you blacked out. But wait, I haven't told you the worst part yet. The T-Rex had tiny arms. Seriously, they were so small that it seemed like they didn't belong to the same animal. But don't let their size fool you. With these arms, the T-Rex could hold down prey twice its size, preventing it from escaping. It was as if it had built-in handcuffs that no one could break free from. It used them perfectly during the hunt. Imagine being hunted by a T-Rex. You're running for your life, desperately trying to get away, when suddenly it grabs you with its tiny arms, and you can't do anything to escape. That's what happened to many animals during the dinosaur era. I know I keep saying it, but this dinosaur was truly a monster. But don't worry, because there's more to come. The T-Rex had incredible legs. They were strong and fast. With them, it could run up to 30 miles per hour, faster than a lion, which is the fastest land predator today. If a T-Rex chased you, you wouldn't be able to hide. It would quickly catch up to you no matter where you went. Once it got close enough, it would attack with its sharp teeth and claws. But the T-Rex's legs weren't just for running. It could also use them to stand up on its hind legs. When it did this, it was twice as tall as a human. Imagine seeing a dinosaur that high, roaring and showing off its sharp teeth. Some people think this was a way for the T-Rex to attract females, but that's just a theory. We don't really know why it did it. The truth is that the T-Rex still holds many secrets that scientists are trying to uncover. But while they continue their research, I'll tell you one last detail that makes this dinosaur truly impressive. The T-Rex was smart. It wasn't as smart as a human, but it was smarter than other dinosaurs. It knew how to hunt and defend itself, and it also knew how to communicate. Scientists have found evidence that the T-Rex made different sounds to express itself. Some believe that the T-Rex could even recognize itself in the mirror. That's why I say that the T-Rex was a real monster, a highly intelligent, huge, aggressive, fast, and deadly dinosaur. It was the king of the dinosaurs, and one of the most impressive creatures that ever lived on Earth. Some people think that the T-Rex was a real monster, and maybe they're right. But whether it was a monster or a magnificent creature, one thing is clear: the T-Rex was undoubtedly the most ferocious dinosaur that ever existed. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Is the T-Rex a monster, or just a magnificent dinosaur? Let me know in the comments, and remember, if you want to learn more about the dinosaur world, subscribe for more content.